Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Sammy, United People's TV. It's Monday. Who's ready for it? Who's ready for the week? I get a feeling that this is going to be a pretty busy week for Manchester United. We should be getting the Mbeumo announcement today. That's going to be fun. Looking forward to that. The team flies out for the pre-season tour. I believe they fly out on Tuesday. We'll do our little sort of pre-season tour preview, what to look out for. We'll do that today. We're also going to speak about new strikers. We're going to speak about new goalkeepers. We're going to speak about potentially a new midfielder as well, because Amorim, he definitely wants one. We'll also speak about the pre-season game that happened against Leeds at the weekend. We'll speak about Cunha's debut, Leon's debut. We'll speak about Rashford to Barcelona, what's going on with Sancho. There's still so much to do for United. And yeah, I just think just get the feeling it's going to be a busy one, right? We'll find out. Make sure you subscribe. Actually, it's that. You're already here. If you're here at this point, you're definitely a subscriber. Let's have a quick look. Siegs, you're saying you're hoping for a busy week. I think it will be. What did everyone get up to the weekend? Do you have a good time? Let me know. Let's say hello to everyone. Let's get on with the show. Alex, good morning to you. Carl as well. And you're there too. Josh, good morning to you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. We've got C. Billington. We've got Mike. We've got John Bavesh. We've got Stu. We've got Teresa. We've got Cagozzo. Lots of regular faces. JJ Farms, good morning to you. Let's say hello to some non-members as well. We've got Umar. We've got Brian T. We've got Mikey B. Brian T. Mikey B. Am I going on holiday? Nope. No holidays planned this week. I was lucky enough to get a house this year after a lot of saving up. So yeah, there won't be any no holidays going on apart from in my garden, which I actually now have a garden, which is nice. Right. Let's get on with the show. I want to cover this news first before we then dive into United. Man, how much has Liverpool spent this summer? I really, really hope. Have you seen the reports suggesting that, who is it, Al Hilal might end up buying Alexander Isak? And the Saudi Public Investment Fund that owns Newcastle also owns Al Hilal. So it just would be hilarious if... Mate, Newcastle have had... Could you imagine that from United's perspective? How many targets have Newcastle missed out on now? Mbeumo was obviously one. Ekitike is another. James Trafford, who was supposed to be a goalkeeper they're going to sign from Burnley, is now going to City, apparently. Who else? Cunha, he was definitely on their list as well. It's like every player that they've gone after, apart from Elanga, they've missed out on. People down there saying that Liverpool spent over 300 mil. Over 300 mil. Man, that's what you do to consolidate a bloody title win. Jeez. Nuts. I'm looking forward to the time where United can actually free spend again, rather than I say that. It's not as if we're not spending, but we're certainly being a lot more careful. I think we've reached a point now where no more signings are going to happen without sales. Feels like that anyway. Anyway, let's move on. Let's speak about United instead. And let's speak about this, because there is a lot to like about Brian Mbeumo rocking up to Carrington, full suit, shiny shoes, the whole outfit. We still haven't got any announcement from Manchester United yet, but we've got confirmation from Fabrizio that this was yesterday, I believe, signed his contract, 5 years, plus the option for one more. The medical has now been completed, and Mbeumo can now be considered a United player. Oh yeah, Vista as well, because we went in for Mbeumo. Newcastle, unlucky. Anyway, we're gonna get the announcement today. I'm looking forward to it. He's gonna be on the plane for the pre-season tour, so we're gonna have realistically the two biggest signings that we're making this summer. Both going to be on the plane for the pre-season tour. As frustrating as that whole Mbeumo, 4 to 5 weeks was, having them both on the plane is good news. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Andy's saying it shows a level of class and respect. It's just nice. Sorry. I'm feeling a bit sad today. It's definitely a Monday mood. Dylan, not sad. I'm just tired. Dylan, you're saying 95 for Ekitike makes Mbeumo look like a steal. 70 million is fair market value. Or was it 71 million? Whatever it was. Look, there's another photo here. of him in his training gear. So he's going to be getting 19, which we already spoke about in the Here We Go video that we did the other day. Wonder what time he gets announced. I get the feeling it's going to be a rather busy few days. Shabby saying a great professional for sure. They're flying to... I think United are flying out to America tomorrow, yeah. Brian, you're saying, do you think Lich is going to be on the plane? Now, how do you think he will be? I don't know where I read that. So effectively, Martinez is going to obviously not play any football, but he's going to be going out on the pre-season tour just to keep up the training and keep, I suppose, involved with the squad. Paul, you're saying, Sam, please, I don't get why fans believe we need a striker more than a midfielder. Look, we do need a striker. All right. We need a striker. However, you all know how much I think we need a midfielder. But let's speak about sales, all right? Let's get into all the transfer stuff. There's lots and lots of news to run through. I'm going to try my best to summarise it all. Now, at the weekend, we got the Here We Go. Was it during the game against Leeds? Or was it just before? Either way, it was thereabouts. We got the Here We Go from Fabrizio on Rashford. I did the reaction video to that after the game as well. And we've now got some more information on the actual details behind the deal and the numbers, right? So Barca have sealed all the documents of Rashford. I think he's going to be having his medical today. Barcelona will pay 14 million euros gross as salary, plus bonuses linked to appearances to Rashford. And that's an important part there, right? Rashford's taken a 15% pay cut. United are not covering any of his salary. And it's a 30 million euro buy option. So there's a few things to take in there. 30 million euros for Rashford is so ridiculously cheap. And that's definitely a compromise for Manchester United, which has been the buzzword that I've been saying. I'm going to run through a little article from Andy Mitten as well, which is the exact same buzzword that he's using. But when you look at that buy option there, 30 million euros, and it is too low, okay? It is too low. However, for the fact that Manchester United are going to be saving on Rashford's wages for this whole season now, if you add that on top of that 30 million euros, it probably gets more towards the 40 million that we told Villa that they had to pay. Because we're saving the wages. It probably works out about somewhere between like 12 and 15 million pounds, I think Manchester United are going to save on Rashford's wages being off the bill. And Rashford took a wage cut. Right, Jaden, how you doing over there, mate? Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, you've got no club. You've got no club. I mean, it's not exactly a massive wage cut. Barca are still paying big money. Look, the reason that is so low is so Barca would accept the terms most probably. We just needed to make sure that Marcus Rashford found a new club. And to be fair to him, he's got the move to Barcelona he wanted. Right? He's going to be having his medical today. I don't know when the announcement's going to come. It doesn't particularly matter. But Rashford, he's off. And I really just, I swear to God, the only way you can use to describe the end of Rashford at United is just sad. Like, nobody expected it to play out how it played out. I think United are partly responsible, and I think Rashford's partly responsible. And I imagine more information is going to be coming out. Yeah, I've seen all the stuff over the weekend about Rashford and balloons and shit like that. And I'm not going to pass any comment on anything like that until someone I actually trust and verified comes out with any information on that. I think to speculate about all that stuff is just, well, you may as well just pick up the Daily Star if you want, if you enjoy that sort of speculation. What else are you saying down here? Anthony's saying, are we seeing the ruthlessness? Giving out Rashford's number before he even left and isolating unwanted players from the start. I honestly think that giving out Rashford's number was a little bit harsh. I'll be totally honest. I don't really think that was a necessary thing to do. All you would have had to do was wait Well, I suppose, actually, I thought the Rashford situation was going to drag on all summer, so at some point he would have had to take it off him. But Rashford's been done quicker, and that's what I'm happy about here. I really did think that this was going to drag on. Josh is saying, I'm surprised Barca wanted him. I'm not. Obviously, they wanted, what's his face? Nico Williams, and then that move collapsed. Then they wanted Luis Diaz, and Liverpool priced Barca out of the move. So third choice was Rashford. It was just that he was third choice. Alex is saying, Sam, the wages bit is huge. Massive. And that's why, look, I kind of spoke about that when I did the video yesterday on the whole Goalkeepers conversation, which I'll speak about a little bit later. But those saved wages are massive. And as I said, to run through this article here from Andy Mitten, like, compromise is the big word here. And I don't know if there's going to be any Manchester United player that we are able to sell this summer without there being some form of compromise. I'll speak about Melty McMeltus next. Then you've got Garnacho, Villa or Chelsea. I think United would ideally not sell to a Premier League rival or just a Premier League club. Maybe that's the compromise. And I imagine the Garnacho fee is going to be lower than any of us actually expect. Yeah, and I'm not surprised that Manchester United have, because I think this here was probably the number one priority for United. Like, no matter what happens with Rashford, no matter where he goes, whether it's on loan, whether it's, I mean, in an ideal world, it would be a sale, but they had to compromise on that anyway because nobody was willing to pay the money. But as long as all of his wages are off our bill, that we're not subsidising Rashford to play for somebody else, that's what we need. And that's what United have got here. And I just find it hilarious that this lad is just sat there this whole time. I actually do think that in the goodness of all, at the end of all this, he's probably going to end up taking a wage cut to join Juve. Well, didn't you just take a wage cut to join Chelsea, the club you're already at? Now, absolutely none of the decisions this bloke has made just make any sense whatsoever. But we know what the compromise is going to be on him. If you go to the leaving whiteboard, we updated these this morning. This was the latest that we've seen on Sancho. Not actually anything else has been reported in the last couple of days. But the suggestion was that United were willing to pay that severance package. It's effectively the same money that Chelsea gave us to cancel his loan obligation. And that he's going to take a wage cut and going to be going to Juve. I imagine it had to be more than 15%. Just a random predictor here. What sort of level of wage cut would you imagine that Sancho would agree to in order to facilitate a move to Juve? Because he's shit out of options now. Like, Chelsea's gone. Juve, for some unbeknown reason, want to sign him. They must want to ignore the 97 red flags that there are around him. But, each to their own. Always like Juve, me. But he's surely going to have to take a massive wage cut because what was he on, 250 at United? Stevie's saying he's clearly burnt his bridges at Chelsea, but I mean, he didn't. They offered him a contract. They just wanted him to take a wage cut. And he just said no. But he's going to have to take it because Juve, there's no way they're going to cover it all. Anyway, fingers crossed we get some... Effectively, we're just waiting for a here we go there on Sancho and Juve. Someone down there saying about... I think he's going to have to take at least a 20% wage cut. If not more. Realistically. And like, if you look at Juve in the Vlahovic situation, that's a contract that really, really stung them. They're trying to get him terminated now. I don't think they're going to be wanting to give Sancho anywhere near 200 grand a week. And if he's on 250, 20% wage cut would be 200. So it might even have to be more. And then there's Garnacho. Now, am I worried that Garnacho won't be sold this summer? I don't think so. I think he will be sold. But I am worried that it's going to be... I think the compromise with Garnacho is just going to be on around the price. Okay? In the chat. Not not how much do you think Garnacho is worth. How much do you actually think United sell him for? Because you got Chelsea and you got Villa. Two clubs who are interested in signing him. Chelsea will probably be able to pay more. But we're potentially going to be... I will speak about Nico Jackson in a little bit. We're definitely sort of throwing out intermediary talks to begin with. And with Villa, we know full well that we were in, I suppose, initial talks over Emi Martinez. We also know that we would very much be interested in signing Ollie Watkins if they were to sell him. And Morgan Rogers. Maybe not. Let me see what you're saying in the chat. 45 mil, someone says down there. 40 says Mike and Steve. 30 to 40 says Shub. 45. I honestly, I think my prediction is that we're probably going to be a little bit disappointed on the price we get for Garnacho. I think it might be somewhere towards like 30, 35, and maybe with a sell-on clause. That's just what I feel. I feel like that's where the compromise lies with Garnacho. Even players that have a sort of value, United aren't going to be able to get the most of. Not this summer. But having Rashford as a here we go, and he's gone, it's a good start. 100% of wages, that's good. I'm going to look back on that and go, yeah, right, okay, happy with that one. Happy with Mbeumo, happy with Cunha. And now it's about more sales, more exits. And Garnacho, yeah, I just think it's going to be less than what we want it to be. And Anthony, it's just unfortunate that the club that he nailed on loan, well, where he was having a crack in loan spell, was Real Betis, who can't afford the wages that Anthony is on. That's just unfortunate. Now, you've got kind of fresh reports suggesting that Atletico Madrid are now interested in signing him. I think the Anthony one, when it's actually done, we're probably going to be fine with it. I think if he was to be sold, I reckon somewhere in the 20, 25 would be probably the best that United could hope for. I think any United fan would be like, oh yeah, I'll take that for Anthony. That's fine. I don't think there's going to be too much of a difference in value in how much we get for Anthony and Garnacho. I really do mean that. And I think that's because United are probably going to slap on a big sell-on clause on top of it. Which may well be the smarter play. Because Garnacho's what, 21? Even if he stayed there for 2-3 years, probably get sold on for a massive profit. You can't get full price on an unwanted player. Akash is saying, what are the chances that Anthony comes back as a wing-back? 0, mate. 0. Adami, you're saying it's just losses all round, and I mean, that's what compromises are, right? They're not exactly what you want, but given two scenarios of you just keep what you don't want, or you just, what is it, like you'd rather have 50% of something rather than 100% of nothing, which is kind of what we're doing here. We're taking lower numbers, but simply just to shift them off the books, because you go back to the wages and the wages saved, and that might be part of United's overall like budget plans for this summer. Because if you're saving 12 mil, well, at least actually, I don't know exactly. I think Laurie Whitwell said that Rashford was on 325 a week. You can do the maths. Somewhere in the region of like 15, 16 million a year just saved on Rashford's wages. Sancho's on, I think, around about 250. Garnacho's not on major money. I think he's on somewhere between 50 and 100, I would guess. I think Anthony's on around about 100 to 125. All of those combined, you're paying if you imagine that Cunha, I think, is on somewhere between 150 and 200, and I imagine Mbeumo is going to be on the same. Like the ability for United to actually, it's the cash. The actual wage bill is totally fine, but it's the cash. Hence why it's so annoying that we're talking about Rashford going on loan, because that's the thing that this doesn't fix. Sure, we're getting the players out and we're saving on the wages, but we're not getting the cash in, which is ultimately probably what we need. You could just see it, man. I think you can see United whipping out the credit card still this summer. I think it's something that the club's massively, massively keen to avoid. But with all the compromises over these players and the fact that we're not getting the money in for them, I could see us spending on a credit card. Let me see what you're saying down here in the chat. What if we went in for Adam Wharton from Palace? It's just going to be too much. It's just going to be too much. Someone saying Anthony's worth 50 mil. I don't know why Mug fans value him that low. I mean, come on. 50 mil? Really? You're calling fans mugs and you're valuing Anthony at 50 mil? Hey? Shouldn't drink this early. Right. I can see lots of you speaking about strikers, so let's move on to the striker chat, because this is definitely, well, it's a conversation that we need to have. We've been having it all summer, but that's Cheeto, that's Højlund, that's our options, and this was Fabrizio Romano on Saturday saying, look, United, they plan to sign a new striker in the next few weeks as the main target after Mbeumo. So, Fabrizio Romano is suggesting here that United's priority after Mbeumo is a striker. And we've been going after a striker. Would we have signed Mbeumo would we have gone after Mbeumo had we signed Delap? I'm not quite sure. You know full well that I feel signing a midfielder would be more of a priority than signing a striker, given the fact that you've got goals coming in from Mbeumo and Cunha. But let's speak through. There's lots of strikers that we've been linked with so far, right? We go to the board. You can see how many bloody names there are on there, right? Watkins, Delap, Gyökeres, Osimhen, Mateta, Keane, David, Mitrovic, Ramos, Sesko, Jackson, Calvert-Lewin, Ekitike, Schick, Kolo Muani, Vlahovic. Oh, bloody hell. Loads of them. Anyway. Yesterday I did the video just because I saw so many people talking about it. I was like, it's a bit weird. It very much just felt like everything that came out in the Portuguese press at the same time, like three or four or five outlets. If it was just coming from like one random story, I wouldn't have covered it. But the fact that it was covered by so many outlets all at the same time, I thought was interesting. And it is what looks like nothing more than a bit of the final chess move from either Sporting or Sporting's agents, don't really know, but just to kind of force the deal through. I think Gyökeres is joining Arsenal. Ever since it came out that he preferred to join Arsenal, United have sort of stood back and not really done much. Although it's a bit weird. Like, I don't know why it's taken everything. This last week, not really much has happened with Gyökeres and Arsenal. And maybe that's why United's name, that's what it feels like. United's name is kind of getting used as leverage to force the deal through. Yeah, the story was a bit weird. That's why I wanted to cover it, because I saw so many people speaking about it. Yeah, Adam, I'll update Sesko's colour there, actually, to be fair, on that whiteboard. Because, look, when I saw the Sesko story last week, my immediate reaction is exactly how I feel now. For the life of me, I just don't know how United are probably being linked with him when you look at the numbers. When just the finances behind the deal, it's simply a transfer that is out of Manchester United's capabilities right now. Unless we decide to spend all of our money on a credit card, which I suppose makes it possible, but not sustainable. The reason that Arsenal moved to Gyökeres from Sesko because of the price. But you got Fabrizio saying Chris Favell knows Sesko well, and of course there's going to be internal conversations. We're looking at all the strikers. I just ran through a bloody list of them there. I don't see how the Sesko conversations go much further. Levi saying Sesko doesn't excite me. I mean, I wouldn't downplay the excitement of the player. He's clearly a very good striker prospect. He is a prospect. I mean, he's established. He's had plenty of appearances in the Bundesliga, but he's young. You'd be signing someone who's not the finished product, but in a couple of years' time can be. I just don't see it going any further. And I think I would rather spend money on Ollie Watkins and use the difference in that cash on a midfielder rather than going huge on Sesko, which he would be. Sesko would be like Ekitike level numbers. That's why Arsenal didn't go for him. And I think, are they just linking us to him because of Chris Favell? I don't think so. It's just they've got the connection. They're holding on to it. Let me see what you're saying in the chat. Sesko doesn't make sense this summer, even if we had the money. I think that's kind of down to, I suppose, an opinion on whether or not you feel is the perfect and the correct profile for United. Russ, you're saying that Benfica signed Rios. Yeah, saw that. And you're saying Watkins would be my preference too. Kind of surprised that those stories haven't really gone any further. What are we saying down here? Villa's not selling Watkins for the millionth time. They have no other forwards at the club. Well, we know full well that Villa need the cash. So you can talk. I don't think you can really rule out any potential sale, apart from probably Morgan Rogers from Villa. But look, even if you don't want me to have a conversation about Nico Jackson, and you don't think that he's the right choice as a striker for United, he's definitely somebody that United are taking a look at. And Nizar Cancelo he writes for the BBC, saying that United have held talks with Nico Jackson's representative, Ali Barrett, over a potential move. A lot needs to happen in terms of outgoings for United, but one that could happen in the right circumstances. And there's a little note there on Chelsea's interest in Garnacho. So could that be the two conversations happen at the same time, possibly, potentially? And if it was to happen, I imagine that United and Chelsea would do what Chelsea have done with Villa, even though UEFA are telling them not to do it, but the overinflated prices. Now, if you were to, is that 3 names I've mentioned there? Start a poll, right? Who would you choose? Sesko, Watkins, or Jackson? Now, Ryan has a comment there from you, which caught my eye, saying none of these strikers excite me, especially for the prices touted. I think the striker that I would have been excited for United signing would have been Gyökeres. That would have been my choice. Any other striker that we're looking at signing or we're being linked with, I think, well, maybe not with Sesko, and that's what I mean. Like with Sesko, you'd have to invest so much money, and he'd have to be your striker for the next good few years, and you kind of build your attack around him. I think what United really need is somebody that can come in and be the leading man for a couple of years. No, I'm not saying that as stopgap. I just wouldn't want to spend that much on Sesko, right? But Nico Jackson, I don't think he'd be as bad a signing as some United fans suggest he would be. You know, having watched him at Chelsea, having watched the problems he's had at Chelsea, etc., etc. I can understand that. But I also don't think he's a signing which really massively moves the needle for United. I don't think we'll be a worse team having signed him. But also, like the amount of money that Chelsea get for their players, like it's nuts, isn't it? Is it Renato Veiga that they're now he's getting linked with Atletico Madrid for 40-odd million euros, and I swear they only signed him for 10 mil, and he's only made a handful of appearances for the bloody football club. Quezzy, you're saying you put Mateta in the conversation over Jackson. Probably Price is going to stop United being involved in that. Neil, you're saying minority opinion, but I think there's a top striker in Rasmus. Sesko is too similar. Go for experience like Mateta. Højlund's got a lot to do, man. And if he was to score 16 goals next season, which is exactly what he did in his first season, there'd probably be United fans and be like, okay, well, that's much better. That's an improvement. But I think he's got to go further than that. You can't, in your third year, repeat what you did in the first year. The third year, I don't know. Yeah, all these strikers just kind of, none of them are making me go, oh, yeah, okay, right, he's the one that can make the big difference, man. Got the votes are in, 951% are saying Watkins, 46% are saying Sesko, and Unlucky Jackson. 3% are saying Jackson. Rex is saying, I thought a striker was more urgent for us, but seeing the options, I'm starting to get why it's maybe better to get a good midfielder. I'll speak about midfielder in a little bit after some comments from Ruben Amorim after the game. But yeah, United, according to Fabrizio, the focus is on a striker. I'll cover that this week because there's a lot to cover this week. And we need to move on now to speak about goalkeepers. Now, I think the majority of United fans are all in unison and agreement that moving Andrea Onana on this summer would be what's best for the club and signing a new goalkeeper. That's what I felt as well. I thought the idea of United... I still feel that you can get 20, 30 mil for Onana, and I don't think that's an outrageous price in any way, shape or form. And then there's Jean Garcia stuff, but he ended up moving to Barcelona. Now, Senny Lammens. Fabrizio's confirmed here that United have made initial contact to be informed on the deal conditions. Don't really know what that means. I'm guessing it's just like, how much would you want for him? Are you up for sending him? Yes or no? So later on today, it's probably going to be a double drop here on United People's TV today. I reckon around about 12 p.m. we'll do a pre-season preview, what to look out for, what to expect on the tour. And also going to be covering the full story on Senny Lammens because we identified him as a potential goalkeeper signing that United could be looking at and should be looking at alongside Jean Garcia. There's no way that I'm going to ever say that any goalkeeper is ever going to be transformational for United again. I burned that bridge for myself with Onana. But I think at the very least, it's good to see United being active in the goalkeeper market. I don't think the injury to Onana should be the reason that that's forced. I think that it should have been bloody happening anyway. Really should have been. You know what's a little bit annoying? If I go to the whiteboard, right? Like, there hasn't been any interest at all in Bayindir. Have I missed it? Can someone tell me? I haven't seen any club being linked with him. I've seen any club being in talks with him or any potential move for Bayindir. And I think he should be sold. I think we should be replacing our number 1 and number 2 this summer, if I'm being completely honest. Like Tom Heaton, to be fair, he played pretty damn well. And he's saying, glad peeps are seeing that central midfielders as key now. We are poor. You know, it's the lack of balance in midfield, I would say. Complementary profiles. We've got good midfielders. I don't think we've got 2 that are perfect together. Someone's saying it's because he's terrible, and maybe there'll still be a club that'd be interested in signing it. I just hope we find it. Slightly separate news, but good news. Eli Harrison, he's going to be going on loan to Shrewsbury. The manager of Shrewsbury is Michael Appleton. And Michael Appleton, of course, a former United Academy player, he was actually linked with becoming the new sort of head of loans. You know, that new role that's been made for Johnny Evans. But anyway, Johnny Evans took it. Michael Appleton didn't. He's now manager of Shrewsbury, so fingers crossed that's a good loan spell for him. It was at Chester. Was Chester in the National League? Is that where he was? Eli Harrison had a cracking loan spell, and then United pulled him back. I hope they just leave him on loan there for the full season. I hope he plays well. Is Shrewsbury going to be going up for promotion? Don't quite know. Pickle Rick with a 10 out of 10 username. What an episode that is. I actually haven't watched the last season of Rick and Morty. 50% of you so far are saying Sesko, 47% are saying Watkins. I just don't see a world where United pay the sort of money that Leipzig want to sell Sesko. You know, like, was it last summer? Or was it summer before? I think it was last summer when Napoli priced Osimhen out of a move. They wanted like 120, 130 mil. It's like Dortmund when they put the price on Sancho and then he ended up staying. It feels like Leipzig are pricing Sesko out of a move this summer. And seeing as Arsenal going after someone else, Chelsea have already got the lap. Newcastle. I suppose Newcastle could go in for him. If they were going in for Ekitike and he's chosen Liverpool, you could potentially see Sesko going to Newcastle. And especially if they sell Isaac to Al Hilal. Alex, you're saying Amorim needs to decide priorities, control games, central midfielder first, more clinical, or centre forward. I reckon central midfield balance is the single biggest issue United have had for a decade. Well, it's a lot of issues, let's be honest, that we've had in the last decade. What's she saying down here? Right, see if I'm missing. Look, you've got some separate reports here coming out from Germany themselves around Sesko, but I just don't know whether it's going to go any further than this, man. Right. Is that Christian Mofzel? I think it is. Sometimes he's reliable, sometimes not so much. I just can't see it. I don't think the finances make sense. The numbers don't match up for me and Sesko, no matter how many reports are getting linked with us. And I might be wrong. And if I am wrong, it means that United are going to go and spank that money on the credit card. Because that's the only conceivable way it really actually happens. Turnover-wise, we know we're fine. The wage-to-turnover ratio of our football club is totally sound. Add in the fact that you're saving on Rashford's wages and the others that are going to be going, the wages are not an issue. And the budget's related to the wages. It's just I just don't see how we get the cash unless we put it on the credit card. Gangshi, good morning to you, dude. The main man yourself. Hope you had a cracking weekend. You gifted 10 memberships and this stupid bloody PO box, man. I've got to contact Royal Mail again. I want to put stuff on the community wall because the community is the best bloody community in the world and Jay's gifted 50. It always staggers me, man. I can't tell you how grateful I am to have the sort of people inside this community that I do. It makes me enjoy these live shows and coming and having a chat with you all every morning, and it's all like part of your routine. You have it on in the background just as much as it's part of my routine. I think it's awesome. I really, really do, man. So thank you so much to Jay and to Gangshi and to every single one of you. So make sure you drop a like on the video because it is a nice place to be. We've had a rough time, but fingers crossed this season's better. And look, speaking about this season, segue, let's actually quickly speak about the game. All right? It was a 0-0. I think the second half was better than the first half. I think I saw some issues with the build-up play and the centre. You know what I think about the centre-back going into midfield? I just don't think there's any centre-back right now, well, out of De Ligt or Maguire, that suits that role. But I'm not looking into that too much, and I'll be looking at it more in the pre-season tour. This was kind of more about just, I don't know, let's see some new players. What did you all think about Cunha's performance? We'll speak about Cunha, we'll speak about Diego Leon, and then we'll speak about the central midfielder, all right? I agree down there, Dark Kyler, yep, we need sales. Rashford's going to be an exit rather than a sale. So we go to the done whiteboard now. You can see it's starting to get busy on the exits. And I put exits and clauses, just the only money that we've got in so far is through release clauses, sell-on clauses and wages saved. You could put the wages saved there, but it's going to get a bit messy. And I do appreciate the fact that we actually haven't spent 128 million this summer. That's not left the bank account because of installments. But this is just the way that it would just get far too complicated trying to break it down into all the installments. It really would. And no one actually looks at overall spends as how much you've actually spending in installments. Now, let's speak about the game itself. C-Bomb is saying Cunha looked good, just needs to have good relationships around him. It's interesting you say that because that's kind of exactly what Ruben Amorim was speaking about after the game. Saying the connection's not there yet, but I saw it straight away. It's the first thing, and one of the main reasons I was excited about signing Cunha is ball carrying, driving forward. Right? Driving forward. Now, Ian, I'm not putting Diego Leon on the board because we signed him in January, so that was done and dusted. Dorgu did look good, yeah. I thought the second half, Dorgu looked... I find it really, really odd. I'll be totally honest about Dorgu. It's like the amount of United fans that gave him so much grief last season. Started off strong, got his red card, came back in, was very tentative after that. Very unpolished, as you would expect him to be. What I was saying down here about Cunha. Quite a few of you speaking about Dorgu down there as well. Look, I'm looking forward to seeing more of Cunha. And I'll be honest, I think Diego Leon can be pretty happy with how he played. he definitely left space in behind. And this is something that you're going to see probably more than once this season from Diego Leon, if he ever does get the opportunity to start games. He was caught out. A little cheeky 1-2 from Leeds, ball over the top into the space behind. I think it was Nonto, and had acres of space to run into. Diego Leon's going to be naturally exciting going forward. That's going to be the part of his game which is good. But in terms of the defensive positioning, knowing when to run, knowing when to step back, knowing when to hold your position, knowing when to be aggressive, knowing when to be defensive, that's going to be all about coaching, learning, and developing. But I thought he actually played quite well. Right, this is what Amorim said about him after the game. You have to understand the kid came from Paraguay. It's his second week. He's done well. He's powerful. He's learning. He'll be a very good player. JA, you mentioned Luke Shaw down there. Like, I've thought this every single time that Luke Shaw has ever, apart from the last one, like last season is when I was like, okay, well, that's different. Typically, when Luke Shaw has come back from injuries, he comes back and you go, there you go, there's Luke Shaw. But Luke Shaw, the last couple of months of last season, and in that game, now I'm like, well, he's not playing very well. Quite a few are saying that Luke Shaw was partly responsible as well for leaving that space. And you're talking about the system needing Yoro. Yoro played right centre-back, didn't he? Second half, because Heaven played left centre-back. Both of them play good. The balls from Yoro. Ooh. Cheeky. Very cheeky. Look, I thought they both played well. The game itself, it was 0-0. United lacked the cutting edge. I think Cunha could have had a goal, by the way, but Chido was sort of like head down on his, he was kind of turning on a chance on his left foot when Cunha was just walking onto it with his right. Probably would have scored. But something that I saw in the first half, something I saw in the second half, and something that we will see at Manchester United all season long. Right? This is Amorim speaking about the midfield. He goes, we suffered a little bit when we tried to press high, tried to be aggressive, but when you don't win that aggressive front press, you typically leave a little bit of space in behind. Because we have a lack of pace in the middle of the park. We created chances, couldn't show what we needed, but between the lines he's aggressive. But Amorim there, look, it doesn't matter who you play. It doesn't matter who the partners are currently. Whether it's Bruno, and all the players are good in their own rights. I think Bruno's class, but we all know about the weaknesses of Bruno's game. I think Cobby's class, but you know he's not the complete midfielder. There's areas where he's weaker. Ugarte, same thing for him. Collier. Yeah, I'm kind of not really sold on Collier, if I'm being honest. I think he's probably a good squad player, but I need to see some more from him. He had a lot of injuries last season. But there isn't a midfield duo in this team, that's the right blend, the right balance. And I'm telling you, the profile that we need has to be someone who's just just phenomenal at covering the ground. Phenomenal at recycling possession. Someone who just makes the ball stick to his foot and always finds a teammate and then always covers ground. That athletic difference. That's what we're missing. It's what Manu doesn't have. It's what Bruno doesn't have. It's what Ugarte does have to a certain degree. But we need that midfielder, man. And I don't actually know what United's best midfield is going to be next season. And look, I understood that there was some of you that wanted to sell Bruno. And I can understand the logic of it if that was reinvested into midfield. Because some of you feel that United are shoehorning Bruno in. Now, I don't think that United are shoehorning Bruno in. But I do think we need a midfielder. I just can't see how this... I haven't even mentioned Casemiro then, really. You know Casemiro is going to be decent, but you know that any game where the pace cranks up a few notches, Casemiro is going to get left in the shadows. That will happen. Now, someone's mentioning Kone down there. Kone, we've heard from Nathan Salt from the Daily Mail that United are now considering keeping him at the club rather than loaning him out because they've been impressed so far. And I'm sure we'll see him in the pre-season tour. And he's actually one of the players I'd definitely watch out for. Stephen, you're talking about someone like Scott McTominay? No. I'm not talking about someone like Scott McTominay. I'm talking about someone whose home is United's own half, mainly. That wasn't Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay, facing the opposition box and running forward, that's where he's great. I want somebody who operates mainly in United's half, who stays in front of the defence, who links every bit of play together, but also in those times maybe when you do press high and you do get hit on the counter, just the stride length. That's why you need someone like, again, I keep going back to it, but it's just it's Amadou Onana. It's that player. Carlos Baleba you can mention down there, but man, we just can't afford it. It is that player. I just don't think we're going to be able to afford Onana now. Or Baleba. Could Ugarte learn to do that? Just don't know. Someone down there saying, what about the Fletcher brothers? Tyler Fletcher's more of a playmaker. Jack Fletcher. Yeah. We need a midfielder, man. I'm sorry, like we cannot go through this. We cannot go into next season without a midfield signing, or there's going to be so many games like this where we just lack that pace in the middle and we just get a little bit overrun. I just don't see a partnership inside this squad right now that gives us enough in midfield. And that's why, for me, and I've been saying this all summer long, I think it's the priority. After Mbeumo, I think the central midfield is actually the priority, not a striker. Someone's saying Palhinha off Bayern. It wouldn't be a terrible shout, that. What's gone on with Palhinha at Bayern? They tried to sign him for like 2 transfer windows and then finally got him, and then it's just like nothing's worked since. Did he get injured or something? Don't really know. No, I'm not going to be changing Martinez to a central defensive midfielder, nor do I think we should. Everything I'm explaining here about like the athletic profile, the ground coverage, and you want to put Martinez there. Nah. You want to get Martinez in a left centre-back position, but even then, you're going to have to be covering the wide. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about him. Yeah, Jean Neves would have been class. You know that. Christian Aslani from Inter. I haven't watched him enough to have a comment on him. I'm Batman saying, which central midfielder, keeper and striker do you hope we will sign within our budget? Goalkeeper, I think someone like Lammens would be fine. I don't think we're going to be signing a goalkeeper who can come in and be considered our number one immediately. It's going to be someone who comes in and probably challenges Onana, and then by the end of the season is our number one. Because I don't think we're selling Onana. Maybe because of the hamstring injury. But even without, it doesn't look like we're selling him. We probably would have sold him actually without. Striker-wise, I think I'll be fine with Watkins. I think it would be. And that's kind of being a little bit unfair to him. Like, oh yeah, fine, I'll take Watkins. I just see Watkins as being an ideal, ready-made right now, in the box. I'll score you 15, 20 goals a season. Probably a little bit more maybe. For like 2 to 3 years. Totally fine. And then Chido can come through. Good. Right, grind. That's what United need. I don't think spending 90 million euros on another... Sure, Sesko could be that guy, but if it doesn't work out, then that's just another example of a signing that we've just ballsed up with. Can we do something with Amadou if Garnacho goes the other way? Perhaps. Well, these are conversations that I think should be had. I've already done a couple of videos on that. If Villa want Garnacho, then cool. That opens up the conversation on the other things. Martinez, get him in. Martinez wouldn't be my choice goalkeeper-wise. But I actually think it'd be too much. But yeah. Whether it's Bruno, whether it's Mainu, whether it's Casemiro, whether it's Ugarte, whether it's Collier, whether it's somebody else playing deeper, I don't quite know. Whether it's youngsters, whether it's Kone, whether it's the Fletcher brothers. I don't think this team has enough in midfield. Sure, we've got the bodies. Yes, we've got bodies. We've got lots of names. But unfortunately, we have quantity over quality in midfield in terms of that partnership. And for Amorim's team to work, I think probably the most important positions in Amorim's team are the 2 number 10s and the 2 wing-backs. 2 number 10s, we've replaced both of them. We've got Cunha and Mbeumo, massive upgrade. 2 wing-backs, we bought Dorgu, who I think has got bags of potential, going to have to develop, sure, but I like him and I love Ahmad at right wing-back. So I think that's fine. Is there enough strength in depth in those positions? Probably not yet. But in terms of improving the starting 11, I think it's there. But central midfield, I just can't get over it. I can't look past it. And I'd be amazed if United did this summer. And that's kind of what I think that comment there from Amorim suggests. He knows where the weaknesses are. But it might just be that United, for some reason, are still prioritising that. And given the fact that we didn't score enough goals last season, you can say, well, hold on, Sam, that's the easiest way to get more points next season is to sort the goal scoring first. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair enough. But also controlling games of football. That's been a massive kryptonite for United. I don't think it's possible without a central midfielder. Let me see what he's saying down there. Bring back Fred. Nah, again, Fred is more naturally suited to the opposition's half than he is to his own half. I want somebody who is happy to drop in between the centre-backs. I want someone who's happy to facilitate. I want the piano carrier, which is what I think what Fred called him at times. Yeah, some Bjork, I think Baleba's going to be held up as the kind of prime example. Caicedo, before he went to Chelsea for 120 million, would have been an incredible example of that player. Right? Let's find out. Right, last minute or two of the show, I'm going to read through your chats. So please, if you are new, welcome aboard to United People's TV. Please do consider subscribing. But we've got a lot to still do. I imagine might go live later on today, depending on what time the Mbeumo deal is announced. Well, not the deal. The Mbeumo announcement is made. Get his first interview, first comments from him. Aiden is saying you want Rodri. Yeah, a Rodri-style player. There is a... We just need that player. We definitely need that player, man. We've needed that player for so goddamn long. Ugarte is a DM, but that's kind of why PSG were fine with moving him on, because he's very good at certain parts, but doesn't have the whole package. I don't think Ugarte is incredibly comfortable at receiving the ball from his defenders. He's incredible out of possession, but weaknesses when it comes to build-up play, which we know. And Bruno has strengths, but Bruno isn't somebody who's going to... Bruno's position against Leeds was really weird, man. It was kind of all over the place. Not as in like he was running around headless chicken-wise, but sometimes he was a deeper midfielder. There was a lot of rotation in between the midfield positions is kind of what I'm saying. Douglas Luiz or Heumann, yeah, you know what I think about Douglas Luiz. I think it could be a good one. I think it could be a good stopgap. That's why I would look at Douglas Luiz. No offense to him. Don't think it would solve our midfield problems, but he'd certainly make our squad better. Let me see what he's saying down here. I'd love to see Xerxes with Cunha and Mbeumo in front. I think he's got a little injury. He might not be going on the pre-season tour. I don't know how big the injury is. I imagine you probably just take him anyway, just so the bonding can happen. Speaking about Agume or Hackney, we'll find out. Right? Thank you all for tuning in. It's going to be a busy one this week. I'm going to try my best to cover absolutely everything, as I always do. 12 o'clock today, we're going for a double drop. 12 o'clock is going to be the pre-season preview, the tour video, like what to look out for, what to expect. 7 p.m, probably going to do the Senny Lemons full story. And then I'll tell you some of the stuff we've got planned this week. We've got a little bit of an edited video going out tomorrow, hopefully, on youngsters and who to look out for in the pre-season tour and what the plans are for all of them this season, not just in the tour. We've also got a little mini documentary going out on Wednesday, which is about Fergie's playbook and signing the best from Premier League rivals. Also got the West Ham game of the weekend. It's going to be a busy, busy one, all right? Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for the chats. Jay for gifting 50. Gungshi for gifting 10. Legends all of you. I'll see you soon.